And I know this is going to be a fad. If it's not already a fad, I know it's a fad because I'm late to fads. So if I think it's like interesting now, then there's already like a ginormous subculture marking up all the hardware by like 20 to 50 to 100%. And I'm just saying it's just going to get even worse from now on. I'm just telling you right now, legal pad maxing and MP3 players. I recently bought a ton of legal pads. And I have a small notebook. A small notebook I've just had. No, not a lawyer arc. Dude, legal pads are sick for writing devices. I have a notebook. Notebooks are cool, but legal pads are non-committal. Just like kind of how I vibe with it. It's like, you know, they're not notebooks. You don't shut them, but the paper is like just facing the paper is just there. You know, you don't need to flip something over and get to the paper. The paper is just there. Yeah, am I making any sense? And then you can just scribble on it. And so what I've been doing is I've been calling my legal pads my iPad, and then I've been calling my small notebook my phone. And that helps me trick the part of my brain that's like, oh, I should get my iPad for this. And then JK, it's not a screen, it's a physical object. Same with like my phone. And I've actually like been able to get off my phone way less. They're not like, I know what a like super nice, I used to kind of go crazy shopping with stationery and didn't really use a lot of it. I know what those are like. I forgot all like the Japanese brands, but like those are nice. Though don't get me wrong, but you kind of need it to be shitty. If you have like the mental, I'm not going to say I'm mentally ill. I'm not going to play up that content angle, but I definitely have a brain thing where if the notebook is too nice, and I think this is normal. I don't think it's like a quirky brain thing. If your notebook's too nice, you're not going to want to write in it. You're not going to want to write in it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of got to be like kind of shitty. And if it's kind of shitty, over time, you're like, oh, that's got an aesthetic. That's like, oh, that guy's been working aesthetic. Oh, wait. Oh, shit. I'm the guy? Wow, I've been working. I've been putting in the time writing in this notebook. What is a legal pad? You don't know what a legal pad is? Oh, no. Legal pad makes you think of legal iPad, like a judge uses or something. Oh, my God. I promise you, in like 10 years, you're going to go to like a thrift shop and legal pads are going to be marked up like 30%. Is that something you write on? Yeah, it's like an analog Google Doc. It's a vintage vinyl Google Doc. In hard drives, yeah, so let me continue explaining hard drives. So what a hard drive does is imagine Google Drive, but it saves only to your computer. Like it's not on Google Drive. You can't access it from the library computer or the school computer. You need to access your computer to get the document. And imagine if like you have a hat, right? Like your hat can only really exist in your room or your closet. So it's like that. It's like your document is your hat. Is there a soft drive? No, there's not. You know how like in the original like vintage iPods, they saved music to the iPod directly, like there wasn't Spotify? It works like that, but for your other files too. Cubiclecore? Dude, I'm kind of cubicle maxing right now. What's an iPod? An iPod is like an iPhone, but if it could only play music. And it had no touchscreen. Don't say vintage and iPod in the same sentence. Vintage iPod. Vintage iPod with scroll wheel. Vintage iPod mini Gen 2 with modded 64 gigabyte memory for $300 on Etsy. Zune? Dude, I actually knew a couple Zune heads for a little bit. Did you know Zune had a feature where you could wirelessly share music to other Zunes and Microsoft chose to call it Squirting? I choose to believe that. That's real. So I think like, okay, vintage iPods are like a thing. And what I mean by that is like people are like using old iPods again. They're modding them with like a better OS and like basically terabytes of memory now. And I know this is going to be a fad. If it's not already a fad, I know it's a fad because I'm late to fads. So if I think it's like interesting now, then there's already like a ginormous subculture marking up all the hardware by like 20 to 50 to 100%. And I'm just saying it's just going to get even worse from now on. I'm just telling you right now, legal pad maxing and MP3 players. And I think CD players are going to be, because if you look like at an old nice 2000 Sony CD player, they do look pretty cool by today's standards. And so I think CD players are gonna, I know it's gonna sound silly like make a comeback, but I do think if a company makes aesthetically nice looking CD players as like a desktop kind of art piece, then I've already seen some. There's like a $170 CD player in the MoMA store. It looks kind of neat. It's just not, yeah, it's expensive. CD player is the least interesting one. Yeah, I mean I hope it, why is Siri asking to get my Spotify data right now? Shut the Siri. Stop. iPod shuffles were a moment. Yeah. Mini disc CD. I mean, the problem with mini disc is like it's not proprietary, but it's like no one's making mini disc, you know? I agree with you. I agree with you. I think the mini disc should come back. Like, where we as a society really lost our way is when we chose to have, I actually think, yeah, putting stuff on the internet cloud was a bad idea because tactically sticking a like USB thumb drive into something feels nice. You're like, hey, I need to grab this data, and you like stick a thing in there. But a mini disc would have been so sick. You know what, Mikey? You know what I'm talking about? The zip drives, like a hard like digital card thing. Feels very super futuristic. That's the world that we lost. We lost that world. Even we lost those to flash drives too. UMDs, yes. I was just talking with my friends about how UMDs were so good. Ever played My Chemical Runs on your Hello Kitty CD player? Those CD players are going for a lot. The Sony Discman, like the first generation one, it looks crazy stylish by today's standards, and it's going for like $300 to $500. It's crazy. Yes, I did look it up, and I'm like, no, no. Yeah, there is definitely a, okay, for me, my attachment to CDs are, there is an era of Japanese music that is basically only on CDs. I mean, yeah, it basically like only exists on CDs at the moment. Sometimes not even online, unless like you rip it, which is fine. But like having the CD would actually feel kind of neat. But yeah, I mean, strangely, even now CDs feel excessive. I mean, they're not priced up like other mediums. I think you can do cassettes too. You're not gonna card without a CD player. I saw a TikTok of someone saying they bought an external optical drive, like an external CD burner, so they could like make CDs and like own their music again, which is kind of crazy. I think I'm even more like whatever this brain thing is pilled. I'm even more whatever this brain thing is pilled because today Funimation announced that they are, yeah, this is the late night talk show portion. You guys hear about this? You guys hear about this? Woo! You hear about this topical news thing that just happened today? Funimation just basically killed their streaming service, which I guess kind of makes sense because it was redundant with Crunchyroll, but then I actually don't know if that means the Funimation library is on or off Crunchyroll, something like that. I don't know. It's really confusing. It's really sad because for a while, the only way you could watch Nichijou was on Funimation, but I think you can watch it on Crunchyroll now. But it's insane. Like, this is crazy for a number of reasons. One is like you actually don't see streaming services shut down like this. Even like ones that are kind of mid. Like I wouldn't say Funimation is mid, but it's not the most. It wasn't the one that was the most known, right? And so it was always the fear that streaming services could shut down. And I always thought, I wouldn't say it's overblown, but it never really worried me. But now seeing one actually shut down, especially in the quote unquote current economic climate, end quotes, it's crazy. Like, it is actually crazy to be like, oh, this just like, you can't access these shows anymore. Except maybe on physical media, I have no idea. Now Crunchyroll's 3 times the cost, yeah. I mean, sure, I get it, like business got a business. It is a trade-off for them. It's like, look, like their user base is probably not growing, so they're gonna raise prices. That's probably that thinking around it. But like, it really made me think I just need to get this shit on Blu-ray or whatever, or like, you know, get mini torrent or whatever back up. Watching Crunchyroll slowly monopolize anime streaming is insane. I mean, who else was doing it like the way they were doing it, you know? I think it like overall didn't turn out great. I don't know, it's crazy to me. It's crazy. It's crazy that we're kind of witnessing the whole life cycle right now. Yeah, Funimation, the digital purchase on Funimation won't carry to Crunchyroll. Yeah, I don't understand. A lot of it is like media licensing and things like that are still kind of old school. And you know, some stuff does carry over to new school, but it is like it's weird what you would think like one form of media just has the same license across everything, and that's not the case. And I'm not going to try to explain it because I don't understand it fully. All I know is it's really complicated and silly, and it sucks. Do the funny streamer thing. I look like shit. Are you satisfied? Are you satisfied, viewer? I love myself a good legume.